and we're going to talk about The Little American by Cecil B. DeMille uh, and starring Mary Pickford. We kind of picked this one because it's been a minute since we have talked about Mary Pickford, even though she's still the biggest movie star in the world at this point.
Yeah, we have
And
watched
also,
like not that many Mary Pickford movies, considering
no,
that
some
fact.
shorts definitely. This might be
Yeah,
our first feature with her, actually.
maybe.
And yeah, like she's the highest paid, biggest movie star it at the time. But her movies are we've been ignoring a little bit, and unfortunately, I mean, this one's like okay.
Yeah, this one I
Um,
don't really get the sense this is like even a particularly like a great example of a Mary Pickford movie. I think this was kind of an outlier, kind of an unusual choice for her. She's kind of not against type in this, but I think this type of this is a war movie, and that's not really what she
yeah,
was known for. Um,
yeah. In this movie, she plays the Little American. It's a propaganda movie,
yeah,
specifically.
uh,
It's not just a war movie, but
it's
it
a
is
pretty blatantly propaganda movie.
yeah. It's a movie that is supporting the U.S.'s recent entry into World War One, and trying to make the Germans these kind of hideous enemies, and the Americans as these innocent,
yeah.
these innocents who are stumbling into a conflict with monsters.
Yeah, it's not a movie with a lot of time for nuance, for sure. It's pretty sensationalistic, and by pretty I mean extremely. I kind of get the sense that that is having not really seen even his later movies. That's kind of Cecil B. DeMille's thing. He's about grandiosity and about like excess.
Bombastosity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bombastosity. Exactly. That's a word.
Yeah, I like The Cheat a lot, though, if we're talking about Cecil B. DeMille movies. And this was more bombastic than The Cheat. The war scenes were actually pretty good at points, or at least big scale. But this movie was like a somewhat simplistic in its drama, I suppose.
Yeah, it follows it's follows a lot of predictable beats
Yeah.
for sure.
I mean, it's another love triangle, which, like, about 90% of silent films are.
Yeah, that sounds about right. The so yeah, Mary Pickford plays the titular Little American. I'm not sure. I guess she was somewhat short for the time.
I don't know if it was meant to mean. I'm not sure if it meant that she was short or that she was just kind of a young girl.
Yeah, there's a lot of I'm noticing this in other movies too that like little is something that is applied to women very commonly in old things, and I don't like it. Um, but she plays Angela, who is American, and you can tell because she was introduced in front of a fluttering American flag, so we're
Yes.
sure where she is from.
And one of the first scenes is her birthday, and it's her birthday is on the 4th of July.
Yeah, because of how American she is.
Yes.
There's a funny scene. So she is, I guess, kind of romantically entangled with a half German man who lives in the United States named Karl von Austreim. It was a very German name. And there is a little boy named Bobby who is, I think, his younger brother.
I think it might be her younger brother, maybe.
And
I'm not sure.
And he's saying, "I'll show you the German goose step, Bobby," which is weird parenting. I guess this isn't.
German goose step didn't have as much of,
No,
as
and
much
it's
of
like
a bad
this is a movie
connotation.
from 1917, set in 1914. So I think even within the context of the movie, it's supposed to be kind of be like, "Ooh boy, maybe not so much, Bobby."
He's teaching me the goose step, and I'm a German captain,
Yeah.
he says.
Bad look, Bobby. But then war were declared, and Carl gets
Yes.
called back to Germany with a hidden message on a card. And Angela learns of the war and worries that Carl is going to be killed, naturally. And we kind of time jump a couple months ahead, where Angela receives a letter from her aunt in France. And we cut to the front, and we see a bunch of soldiers fighting. We can tell they're French because of their mustaches.
And we can tell they're German because of their pointy
The
hats.
pointy helmets. Yep, exactly. Angela departs to go to France to, I guess, help her aunt with the war. I'm a little fuzzy
she hears
on that
that
point.
She hears that things are going on, and she wants to help because she's a good American, and she's also going to see her aunt in France. She goes on a ship called the Veritania.
Very subtle naming there.
And they think they're all safe because it's Americans and they haven't officially entered the war. But the ship is suspected of carrying munitions by the Germans and is sunk, which is somewhat the situation that happened with the Lusitania.
It's a very direct, I think, reference to the Lusitania, one because of the
Yes.
name and because of the entire sort of situation as presented in the film. I also found out that apparently Cecil B. DeMille knew people that were killed on the Lusitania, and so had a sort of a personal reason to kind of present that tragedy in the film.
Yeah.
There is a very cool shot of the ship inside of the ship tilting and filling up with water. Like the whole
We're
set.
just wowed by tilting sets today.
Tilting sets is just always cool. Especially when they fill up with water. There's some really cool shots of after the ship sinks and everyone's in the water and there's sort of searchlights from the German submarine.
Yeah.
Sort of scanning over the people in the water.
That was really good. It made the scene way more tense than it otherwise would have been because you're just getting like flashes, kind of, of all of the people drowning.
It's a kind of unusually, I guess, sort of artful shot for this time period.
Yeah.
And so naturally they're like, you fired on American women and children, and the submarine crew is like, you'll be okay. They're very nonchalant about it. There's a lot of stuff in this movie of sort of like, but they could never do such things to an American. You can't do this to me. I'm American.
Look at me holding out my little flag that I pulled from my shirt. I'm an American. Don't hurt me.
Yeah, it's like, how dare you do such awful things to me, an American. Yeah, it's like, oh boy. Mary Pickford, or Angela, survives naturally and gets picked up in one of the lifeboats and reaches her house in France, only to be told that her aunt has died. But that makes her the Lady of Vangie. I have no idea how to say this in French. I'm going to say Vangie. Because why not? Vangie.
And the Germans start advancing on the areas in France where she has started to set up home, and they start shelling different places, and there is a whole lot of chaos and sets falling apart, and shots of like possibly real military equipment like being fired.
There's definitely some actual shots of like artillery going off and stuff getting blown up, because you can tell the film stock is a lot rougher, and also it's just a lot harder to fake that back then.
Yeah. Because we can probably like fast forward over a lot of the details here, but
yeah, she's told to leave, but she stays behind to kind of help the wounded, and ends up getting recruited by the French to kind of cover up their telephone lines in the house, so that they can use them to communicate. But then the Germans show up at the house looking for old wine and young girls.
Yeah.
which is never a
And this
good
is
sign.
this is the this is a part of the movie that's, trying to be really like uh treat the Germans as these like monsters, basically, to kind of rouse support for more anti-German sentiment, the kind that gets people to change the names of their mansions.
Exactly.
um,
Change the name of their entire monarchy, you know, surname. Yeah.
yeah, so the Germans are violent and lecherous and brutish and taking art and burning it and
Yeah, they're cutting up paintings and smashing furniture to like light the fireplace. Um, they're like, putting their boots on everything. Um, classic cartoon German soldier stuff.
yeah.
At one point, she gets chased through a dark part of the house by one of the German soldiers, and she tries to escape and is hiding in a dark room. And the soldier finds her, but then she switches the light on, and surprise, it's Carl,
It's Carl.
the man that she was in love with back in the States. And he's like, "Oh no, I didn't know it was you." And she's like, "Don't matter. That's not really the part that I'm terribly worried about right now." Like, so she gives him a nice kind of thrashing, at least verbally. And then he's like, "All right, I'll make sure that you don't get murdered." And
He's trying to do the right thing while also trying to be a German scoundrel. He's really splitting the difference.
right. And then she has to like clean she has to put one of the like the officer's boots by the fire to dry them, but they catch on fire, and that was funny.
Yeah, I mean, that was an example of like the German officer, like she's pleading for forgiveness and to let like her servants go because she's American, and the German guy's like, I don't know how I feel about this. Why don't you like clean my boots, and then we'll talk.
But so Angela is using the hidden telephones that she hid to help the French. And Carl finds out about it, but pretends to capture, in quotes, Angela instead of actually capturing her. They sort of conspire when the Germans find out about the secret telephone lines. And she says, and they say something about, "Oh, I thought you're American. You're supposed to be neutral." And she says, "I stopped being neutral and I became a human being."
Yeah.
Which is a very over dramatic line, but it fits with the rest of the movie. But they're both about to get shot by the Germans, and then the French artillery hits, and
just at the right time.
Yeah, and so they escape. And there is a pretty cool shot in here where Angela and Carl are kind of walking through like a war-torn street with smoke and fire and explosions going on.
Yeah.
And they take refuge in a bombed-out church, and a bomb lands near them and like blows up everything
but Jesus.
But the crucifix. And it's like, all right, we're all settled there. And then they got found, and like Carl goes to a POW camp, but then they get to eat sandwiches through the fence, because apparently they still like each other after all of this.
And they decide that Angela has been such a hero that they're going to let Carl go free, let her love come with her back to America, and we can think about his American half instead of his German half.
Right.
And it's happily ever after kind of situation.
We iris in on them kissing in a very classical romantic ending.
It's interesting because like the movie is so the movie's trying to be so like basic about who it hates and who it likes. And it does like kind of complicate like the propaganda nature of the movie by having this half German, half American character who's evil at some points and good at some points, but the American loves her. And I guess, loves his American half.
That's
It adds like a bit of moral complexity to the movie, but I guess for a propaganda movie, it seems like a weird choice.
it is one of the hints I think of like a more complex story that's sort of under the surface of this movie. I think this movie is so overly dramatic and so sort of like simplistic on so many levels, but there are little hints that come through of something a bit more nuanced in it. That being one of them. Another is like throughout much of the movie there is this sort of thing where she's like, "Oh, I'm an American. Like, don't you care?" And there was a moment where she's confronting the Germans with this, and they're like, "No, like this is war. Like we don't care that you're American. Like we're gonna do what we're gonna do." And she's like, "Oh, I guess being an American doesn't like solve everything." Like there's a bit of her kind of like coming to that realization that like the world is a bit more complicated than that.
Yeah, she's pretty naive in the
But it doesn't really lead to that much. It still ends on a very kind of like sappy note. So yeah, not the best movie, but I think it was interesting to see both from the like the work of its director and its star as sort of an example of both of their things, and sort of like they were two big names from the time who were working together. They made another movie in 1917, which was I think more of a kind of traditional like romantic drama, without any sort of war element to it. But also just to see like a contemporary depiction of the current
Great War.
world war happening.
Yeah.
Even one that is as kind of like simplistic as this. I wish that we had like a counterpoint movie to it. Maybe in a couple years we'll get one.
Interesting. Yeah.
It'd be very interesting to see like an Austrian World War II movie from the time. But I kind of get the sense that also like America had the ability to like, we're gonna make a movie about the war. It's like Austria's like, no, we're fighting the war. We're very small.
It's why they kept losing actors from Les Vampires.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, apparently D.W. Griffith also made a anti-German propaganda film around this time, and from what I read, he kind of felt regretful at like the spite with which he made that movie. He feels bad about white people, you know.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
And he ended up making a movie even later, like in the 1920s, I believe, that was kind of bringing respect and dignity to the German people.
I'm sure right around the late 20s, early 30s, that was something he was real into. I'm sure he was like, right around like 32, 33, he was like, you know what? Maybe we gave those Germans a bad rap. I really agree with a lot of what they're saying, it turns out.
Oh, boy.
D.W. Griffith was a bad person.
Yes.
This movie weirdly kind of can't decide if is referring to the villains as German or Prussian. It seemingly uses...
it calls them the Huns too, which I don't know
I was trying to look up the deal with that. A contemporary for the time, sort of slightly derogatory term for the Germans.
I don't know what the root of that is. It seems vaguely racist though.
I think it is. If not racist, certainly sort of, yeah, like not nice. I feel like I've heard it in a lot of World War I movies or stories. Like it's what the Brits are always calling the Germans.
The Jerrys.
It's before Jerry's. They hadn't done Jerry's yet. It's the precursor to Jerry's.
The Kramers.
Is that right?